I hope you're doing well. I hope that everything is working out for you. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about this feeling of lack, and I guess lack then is the precursor to frustration, anger, jealousy, fear. Really, you can begin to sound like Yoda, eh? The thought that there isn't enough, and the thought that something externally to you is creating the problems that you feel in your life on a day-to-day basis. And I would also like to talk about the hatred towards other people, not only people you would class as your own people, but people as a whole, and this continuous focus on migration, on immigration, on the people we call immigrants, the hatred that's being stirred up amongst people that look to blame something external to them, and if they can give it a title, it seems to be for the negative, for the I'd like almost like the dark side. It's easier to become frustrated, easier to blame, easier to say, well, it's because of this group, or it's because of that group, or it's because of people with that skin color, or it's because of that class. And at the moment we have a lot of people around the world that are in extreme poverty, extreme hardship, and we have people in Great Britain that are exactly the same, and we have what we're being told is a migration problem, and we are blaming those people that come into this country and saying, well, it's because they're this, they're taking the jobs, they're taking the dental appointments, the hospital appointments. I think that's extremely sad. I personally know for a fact that there is abundance in a way that you could never really imagine, an abundance for everybody. And I know in my heart that the ideas about hatred and negativity towards somebody because of the colour of their skin or their social circumstances is wholly wrong on so many different levels. And if you see people creating negativity in a way of violence, or let's say people say we're protesting because of a tragedy that has happened, which is awful and disgusting, like a young man being brutally terrorized by police, a young man or woman, being killed, murdered by the police, and a group of individuals, or even an individual, then thinking that the best way we can deal with that is by going out on the streets, creating havoc. Let's say it was me or you or your mum or your dad's car, because they are working a night shift in any type of job, have left their car, and it just so happens that it's their car that's torched because, hey, we need revenge, we need to make what's right. No. And this negativity is behind all of that. A frustration is almost like a spot. It comes to a point where there's a head, and the little tip over the edge makes you force it. You squeeze the spot, and then you mess around with it, and it gets bad. instead of just leaving it being, realizing that all things heal themselves. Now, when something happens that I just mentioned that is tragic or is awful, there is a due process and a due course of action. What is happening right now is the power, the dark side, loves when we as people go out, even though this may sound contrary, and create havoc, create violence, create negativity. They thrive on it because it gives them more power over us. I know that sounds mad, but if you've got people doing that, then we need a greater police state. We need a greater armed forces state. We need a greater amount of control. We'll create the problem. We will offer you a solution, and then we will take control. Okay, we need to lock down. So the more you think you fight for freedom, the more you give it away. If you want to do something now, if you want to create a revolution right now, then begin to be kind, begin to be understanding, begin to allow processes in a lawful manner to take their process, and they'll take their course, even though you might say, no, that never happens, it's all covered up and this, that. It will. But the idea that fighting and hurting and blaming and creating disharmony will solve things is so far away from the truth, so far away. If you want to be a revolutionary, you start to go and check on your neighbours. You start to share with your friends. You start to be kind to other people. You start to have tolerance towards other people, and that spreads just the same as anger, violence and hatred spreads. But it spreads more powerfully, and it gives a much more deep, meaningful, powerful resolve. And I have a feeling in my heart that the powers that love disharmony, anger and hatred, because it gives them control, I know they cannot stand that. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz, where they throw water on the witch and she's like, I'm melting. Don't blame, and certainly do not in any way have resentment and anger towards a man or a woman just because of their social circumstances. You know as well as I do, if somebody is wrong, if somebody is going out hurting other people or creating havoc or setting cars on fire or causing trouble, then they're wrong. It doesn't matter what colour their skin is or where they come from, they're wrong. And you know that, and I know that. And then the due process will take place for them. It seems like people are becoming bitter towards each other. Even if you're just doing well, it's like somehow people don't like it. And even if you're poor and in poverty, people don't like it. Recognise your brother and sister. What was that song by John Lennon? Instant karma's going to get you. It's going to knock you right in the face. Better get yourself together and join the human race. I think that was the lyric. I might be wrong, but I think it's pretty close. Come together. Get together. You don't have to do a lot. You don't have to be like Santa Claus or Robin Hood. You can do really tiny things, like think, today I'm just going to be a little bit more tolerant, a little bit more understanding. And I'm not going to jump to conclusions, and certainly do not take your conclusions from things they call newspapers and things they call television reports I guess that's why it's called a report or a program, because that's what it is. The most powerful thing you can do right now is learn to be kind, is learn to tolerate a little bit more, is learn, like I say, just a little bit more. And everything happens, everything begins small. You don't have to be, like I say, Father Christmas or Robin Hood. You can begin in small steps, but just take care of each other and stop with the blame. Move away from the ideas of lack because of him, her, them, this, that, the other. Just move away from that. Know what you are is way beyond this. Just for that one moment, be still, be in the moment, and connect with that peace that is in all of us. There you are, far from the chatter, far from the anger and the negativity that is continuously projected towards us. You are amazing. I don't have anything else to say, but I think all of us know, if you look around lately, that you keep saying, oh, this and oh, that, and oh, they're like this and oh, they're like that. I think that everybody does. All of us do it. But, okay. But when you feel and you hear yourself doing that, just take a stop for a minute and think, okay, what does that serve? What does that change? And how could I change it? And how could I serve it? And the way you do that is by everything I've just said. Begin with kindness. Begin with small things that are based in positivity. Today, the weather's a bit grey. It is slowly coming towards Halloween, and it's a little bit rainy. I'm in my workshop. I'm going to make this piece of silver into some earrings, and I will hopefully have a surf. I think there's some waves here today, so yeah, and then after that probably have a bit, make a bit of tea for me girls. I always cook. I'm the cook in our house, so yeah, yeah, and then brush my teeth and go to bed. Get ready for the market at the weekend. So lots of love to everybody out there. Don't forget, you can do it. Small steps, tiny.